Putin denounces the increase of NATO's role in Eastern Europe. Regardless of how military threats evolve, Russia will keep its combat readiness at a maximum level, Russian President Vladimir Putin stated on Tuesday that, in light of NATO's significantly increased presence in Eastern Europe, Russian strategic forces are still in a state of high combat readiness. He made these statements while speaking to the Russian Defense Ministry Board. The North Atlantic Alliance is no longer attempting to hide its aggressive nature behind defensive formulations, and U.S. doctrinal documents show that the country is seeking global supremacy. Putin brought up the fact that NATO has sharply increased its military activity, sending troops near Russia's borders and pouring more troops into Eastern and Central Europe. Despite the alliance's earlier pledge not to expand eastward, Finland has already been drawn into NATO, and Sweden is planning to join, he said, warning that this would effectively lead to the bloc's further expansion. Putin emphasized the need for the nation's nuclear triad to remain highly prepared for combat, even as military threats evolve. He announced that the proportion of state-of-the-art weaponry and hardware in the nation's nuclear arsenal has risen to 95%, with almost 100% in the naval component. By year's end, 15 launchers armed with Yars and Avangard intercontinental ballistic missiles and 4 Tu-160M missile carriers will be ready for combat, according to the Russian leader. Russian forces are currently maintaining their initiative on the battlefield in Ukraine, according to Putin, who also stated that Russia will continue to pursue its goals outlined in the special military operation regarding the Ukrainian conflict. He went on to say that during its eagerness to show the West the results of its counteroffensive, Ukraine is eagerly using up its reserves while suffering heavy losses after thwarting Wintershall Dea and OMV's attempts to sell their shares in 3 gas and condensate producing ventures in West Siberia last year. Russian President Vladimir Putin has now ordered their seizure. Achimgaz, Akim Development, Severneftegaz Gazprom, and their affiliated subsidiaries, which are responsible for the delivery and sales of produced hydrocarbons, were ordered to cancel their incorporation on Tuesday by 2 decrees published on the Russian government website. The orders state that these businesses must transfer their assets to newly formed limited liability companies with the same name. Next, the state-owned gas company Gazprom will be granted the same size of stake in these new operators as it had in the ones that were dissolved within 1 month. Limited company Gazavai Technologies is supposed to acquire Wintershall Dea's 50% share in Achimgaz and 25% share in Akim Development, as stated in one of the decrees. Meanwhile, the second decree states that the leading Russian insurance player Sogaz will receive Wintershall Dea's 35% interest and OMV's 25% stake in Severneftegaz Gazprom. We are currently analyzing this situation in detail and got the information from the news reports, Wintershall Dea told Upstream. We regret that additional comment is not possible at this time. Currently, OMV is reviewing the facts and might take additional measures to protect its rights, the company said. The inability to sell their shares in the Gazprom gas ventures and repatriate billions of dollars of accumulated revenues that Putin had ordered erased from the ventures' balance sheets has been a recurring complaint from Wintershall Dea and OMV, following the Russian invasion of Ukraine and the subsequent imposition of international sanctions. Both companies declared their intention to withdraw from the Russian market last year. A report from Wintershall Dea states that in 2021, the 3 gas ventures in Russia produced approximately 303,000 bpd of oil equivalent, which is approximately half of the company's total hydrocarbon output. In 2021, OMV's total hydrocarbon production was 486,000 BOKT, with the Russian shareholding accounting for slightly less than a third of that total. Information about the buyer. It has been revealed in Russian media that Sogaz is primarily owned by Gazprom, 40%, and Akvila, 32%, with the latter being controlled by Yuri Kovalchuk and his wife, a Russian billionaire. Kovalchuk has reportedly become the biggest shareholder of Bank Rossiya, a prominent Russian bank based in Putin's hometown of St. Petersburg. According to Forbes magazine in the United States, in the 1990s, while Putin was serving as deputy mayor of St. Petersburg, Forbes states that Kovalchuk became friends with Putin. They were members of the Ozero Dacha Cooperative, which was located near St. Petersburg and had country houses. Many of the cooperative's members had better careers after Putin became president. No additional information regarding Gazavai Technologies is provided in Putin's decree. More than 20 companies with this name are listed in Russian corporate records, registered in different regions of the country. Spark, A database run by Moscow news agency Interfax shows that Bank Rossiya is associated with one Gazovy Technology company, but only as a founder or shareholder. August saw the incorporation of this business at the same St. Petersburg address as the registered office of the financial institution. As of the publication time, Bank Rossiya had not responded to an upstream's request for comment. The decrees state that once the authorities finish evaluating the interests, SOGAZ and Gazovy Technology will be required to pay for their stakes in these gas ventures. The decree stated that after taxes are withheld, any remaining funds will be placed in special escrow accounts at Russian banks from which Wintershall Dea and OMV may be paid. The value of OMV's Russian business was adjusted by €2.46 billion, $1.53 billion, last year. According to the company, this revaluation takes into account both the receivables from the Nord Stream 2 gas pipeline project and Severneftegazprom's 25% interest in the South Ruskoy field, all rights reserved.